and welcome to the Bear Digest. I am your host, Riley Hankener. I am a current senior at Baylor University studying psychology, but I do most of my work here talking about Baylor sports, especially football and basketball. And so that's what I'm going to dive into today. This is a new podcast, talk show type thing that I've been thinking about doing, labbing mostly in my head. It was something that I plan to start next week probably, but Amazon has this thing where they can get anything to you in less than 24 hours, which is A, creepy, but B, helps me get this moving really fast, gets a mic and headphones and a tripod stand for my phone here quickly. So let's dive on in. I'm really excited to get this started, and I'm really excited to see where it takes me. In 20 years, when I have taken Colin Cowherd's seat on the herd, I hope to play this video of me when I started in my college house with a very bootleg setup. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely feels like a passion project for me, but something that I'm very excited about getting going. I hope to get at least weekly episodes out, if not more, and start to bring in guest stars. I've got a lot of friends who like to talk sports, know just as much, probably more than me about sports. And so, I'm really excited to get this going, see how this goes. It is Tuesday, Veterans Day. Thank you to our veterans. Thank you to the ones that are currently serving us and the ones that have served us in the past. Thank you for keeping us safe again. Let's get started. So I'm thinking about 30 minutes today. We're going to see how it goes. Half and half with basketball and football. There's a lot to talk about. We are in the sports equinox time of year where it feels like all of the major sports are going on, and so that just means we've got plenty to talk about. Let's go ahead and start with basketball. We are 2 games into the season. We are 2-0. We beat the UT Rio Grande Valley Vaqueros, and most recently we beat the Washington Huskies. And so I'm going to dive into each game, give you kind of my thoughts on the team, on each player. We've got 8 in our rotation right now, and barring any sort of recovery from Jeslyn Bodo that I have not heard good things about, I'm just going to go through the 8 players that we have. Just give you my thoughts because I have a lot. I think that this is a good team. I enjoy watching this team. Last year, there were times where it felt like I was clawing my eyes out. And, even in the good games where we were up 10, it felt like at any point it could fall apart. And so that doesn't feel like it. I'm going to start with the UTRGV game, but real quick, from what I'm saying, we were up 7 on Washington for most of the game, it felt like. We took the lead, I think about 10 minutes left in the first half, and did not give it back. And I was never uncomfortable. It was 7 points, and they'd score a layup, and then we'd score a layup. It felt very comfortable. It felt like we were controlling the game. And I think that's the big difference. I think that this team has a little bit more control, poise. I think they're more coachable. I just think it's more of a unit than last year. And so I'll start with the UT Rio Grande Valley game. This was a game that was hard to really have a lot of takeaways from because we didn't cover. It's a small school, UTRGV. They've only been D1 for 10 years, and I think this is their first year with a football team. We didn't cover. We won by 15, but I felt good. UTRGV looked good. They got Always Right from the portal. That's just a great college basketball name, and that's why we do what we do. So let's go through it. Starting off with Obi Agbim. He poured in 16 points on 5 of 11 shooting, had 5 assists and 0 turnovers. When we got Obi, it was not for him to play point guard. We obviously had Robert Wright at that point on contract before he broke that contract and left. And so we are asking Obi Agbim to now play the point guard position. And, I think he's done a really good job. Again, I wish he was off the ball more. He is a serious three-point shooter, so he is having to spend more time on the ball. But I've really been happy with what I've seen out of Obi so far. 16 points, 5 assists, no turnovers. That's great. That's exactly what we're going to ask for out of him, game in and game out. Not to be our highest scorer, but to, when he's called upon, knock down shots and not turn the ball over. Cameron Carr, I am as a channel who I currently have, I think, 20 subscribers, so I can say what I really think about how good Cameron Carr is, because if I had any sort of outreach or if I was talking to anyone important, I would talk about how much I hate Cameron Carr because I really want to keep him out of mock drafts and out of the NBA draft this year. Serious scorer, in my opinion. 28 points against UTRGV, and there's something about his shot that when he shoots it, it feels good, and it's kind of an unspoken thing. Like, there were a couple shots that he took that were not open, and they were a step or two behind the arc, and it's just like, even the ones that didn't go in, it was like, man, like, this feels good. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of his. The NBA scouts are going to come to see Tunde Yesufu, and they probably should. Tunde has a lot of potential, but, like, man, I guarantee you there's going to be a couple of NBA scouts coming into Baylor games really excited to watch Tunde and leaving and thinking that he's not even the best prospect on the team. Cameron Carr, professional scorer, great length. I had a friend ask me last night if I thought that by the end of the year we were going to be talking about Cameron Carr and calling him soft. And I do think there is some aspect of that to his game. And so it reminds me, and this comparison is kind of weird, I guess. And so stay with me here. Cameron Carr's athleticism, strength / physicality reminds me of an Yves Missi, a freshman we had at Baylor 2 years ago. When it's time to make a very athletic play, Cameron Carr makes it. When it is time to slam a dunk down baseline on someone, or when it is time to get up for a block, he will do it. And it's very physical and athletic and imposing. But on any sort of regular possession where it's not time to be athletic, I do at times kind of see a little bit of softness. Like, every once in a while, he will just get taken to the rim. And so, yeah, that's just something to kind of pinpoint and look at the rest of the season. Like, can Cam Carr's physicality and athleticness, like, be in every play type of thing? Dan Skillings, I love Baylor Dan. From what I understood, he wanted to play for us last year. And so he has just been dying to get to Waco. And his impact was felt immediately. He's a do-it-all guy. 15, 9, and 3 in the UTRGV game. Yeah. Michael Ratai, we'll see on him. I was the one calling him our best player coming into this year, and he has not been. He's not even been a top 4 best player for us this year. He did look a lot better in the Washington game. 11 points, 3 of 4 from the field. It was interesting that he was benched at the end of the Washington game in favor of Isaac Williams. Something to pinpoint. When I've seen Michael Ratai out there, it's almost seemed like he's had a tough time communicating with the team. Like it looks like a pickup basketball game sometimes when he's calling for the ball. It's like, I don't know. His body language has been interesting. I'll say that. Tunde Yesufu, I think Tunde's a great player, and I think Tunde could be a really good NBA player. I just wish he didn't get like the Anthony Edwards comparison so early and get all these eyes on him. When I see these, like, everyone's talking about how amazing the freshman class is this year, and it is. But I hate seeing Tunde in those conversations, like, because that just inflates him to me in a situation where, like, I wish he was being talked about as like a fringe first round pick so that like we could convince him to stay and so that we could really develop and polish his game. Obviously, like, the fact that he's getting NBA looks and is going to be a first round, maybe even lottery pick is great for him. Like, you go if that's your situation, you go to the NBA. Like, he's not chawing at the bit to stay at Baylor if he's going to be a top 14 pick. But I wish he wasn't, because I just don't think he's on the same level as the Boozer kid, as the Nate Ament kid, Darren Peterson, DeBanza, Koa Pete for Arizona looked really good. I don't see him in that tier. And so he had 24 against UTRGV, and then he had 13 on 4 of 13 shooting against WashU. There were a couple. He seems to like to shoot threes, and not that that's abnormal for anyone in college basketball these days, but they were a little bit emotional at times. There was one where he pulled up from 3, missed. That first one was a bad shot, and then he stole the ball from the outlet pass, and he had two kids, I don't remember who specifically, two guys running in for wide open dunks, and he pulled up for another three. And it's shots like that just feel emotional that I'm not a fan of. But I have confidence in Scott Drew's ability to coach a guy over a season and help develop him. I used to talk about how good Scott Drew was over the summer. We don't get that anymore because of transfer portal, but I still have faith in Scott Drew's ability to coach kids, and I'm excited to see where Tunde goes next. I think that VJ started the year out of control last year and did turn into a pretty good player by the end. By the end, he was one of the only guys that had a pulse playing for our team. So someone had to be scoring, but he did progress a lot. Same with Rob Wright. So we have freshmen that get better over the year playing here. So I don't think we're looking at the final version of Tunde Yesufu at Baylor right now. And I know that's not a hot take because we're 2 games in, but we'll see. Caden Powell looked not great in the UTRGV game, looked really good in the Washington game, which is really interesting because a center like him that is very not athletic, I would think would definitely perform better against worse teams, sort of like a Jaden Nunn situation. But no, Caden Powell stepped up when it was time to be called upon. Washington, he had 12 points and 10 rebounds, and he held their kid Haynes Steinbach to 10 points. That kid's going to be playing in the NBA next year, apparently. I've heard that he could be a lottery pick. Their big German center. German? Maybe not German. I don't know. Caden Powell did great when he was called upon. He looked solid. He looked like he should be in the starting lineup. Obviously, Jocelyn Bodo, who is right now nursing a shoulder injury and maybe might redshirt this season, was supposed to be our starting center, and that's what we had locked in. And so he goes down, and it's okay, we're not just I think as a coaching staff, we're no, we're not going to slide Caden Powell in. We brought him here to be a backup center, and he's going to be a backup center. He looked like he should be starting for us last game, and even maybe for Michael Ratai. And so we're going to see. Caden Powell looked great. Isaac Williams. Isaac Williams is going to be really fun to watch this year. Really fun and really unfun at the same time. He's a project. And so if you told me we're going to have Isaac Williams for the next 3 or 4 years, if you told me that today, I would be so excited for what he's going to be in a couple years. His three-point shooting is very bad from what I've heard. I watched their tournament over the summer, and Isaac Williams' three-point shooting is really bad. The form isn't good. The mechanics aren't good. But again, that's something that can be taught. Scott Drew has taught players how to shoot, or maybe not Scott Drew, the staff. We have helped players develop three-point shots. And so if Isaac Williams ends up with a three-point shot, I think he could be really good. Very athletic. He competes hard. He's got a great mentality. I really like how he approaches the game. But the three-point shooting and the turnovers is the other thing. Hasn't shown up yet this year. He only has 1 turnover through 2 games. And so I'm just going to call that a win rather than talking about how he's turnover prone. He's not. He hasn't been. But it is something to watch. JJ White has just not been, I think, what we expected him to be. He logged 8 minutes and 1 stat being a rebound against UT Rio Grande Valley. And then against Washington, he logged 6 minutes with no stats. And so people around me know that I am a big J.J. White fan. I really, really like the way he moves. I like his poise. I like watching him in pregame. He's the guy in the middle of the huddle who's hyping up the team. He loves being here at Baylor. You could tell. You could hear it from his earliest interviews about how he really wanted to be at Baylor. And I think he's a good player. I watched him some at Omaha last year, especially in the tournament game where they played St. John's, and he played solid. I think he's a good guard. I really wish we would give him more chances because, I know that, and even I fall victim to, saying, oh, he played minutes and didn't record a stat, or he recorded 1 rebound, but he's not getting the opportunities, I don't feel. And so I hope that we give him those opportunities because I really like the way he moves. Defensively, it's a problem. And so that might be where this is coming from. He only played 6 minutes in the Washington game, and I can remember 2 times where he got took. Washington did have big athletic guards, and so that might not be a great matchup for JJ, but you can't get taken like that. We are going to play so many much better teams than Washington for the rest of the season, and so when we play BYU, and J.J. White lines up with, I don't know, is it going to be Rob Wright or is it going to be Richie Saunders? I don't feel good about him in either of those matchups. And so that's where I'm at. I hope he can really contribute and get into the rotation, but right now it's not looking like he's going to. And so when I think about our team as a whole, I think we're good. I think it's going to be fun to watch, but I don't think we're elite. And this Washington game is being pegged as a really big win, and I think it's great. And I think it's probably a game we would have come out flat last year and maybe squeaked out of the end at the end, but probably lost. And so, yeah, it does show improvement. We looked like a team against Washington, but my biggest negative from the Washington game is I don't think Washington's that good. I think that they, like, going into the game, I understood that they spend a lot of money. Obviously, they have a very competitive football team in a very competitive conference. And so I know last year they got Great Osabor for $1 million+ back when giving a player $1 million wasn't like the norm. It just didn't look good. It didn't look good at all. Wesley Yates, 3 for 15. He was shooting really bad shots, but they were putting him in really bad situations. You know, Washington had a gotta have it possession near the end of the game. About 2 minutes left, they were down 5, and it was a pin down screen for Wesley Yates to shoot a 3. And I was looking at that, and I was like, I was with my friend, and I looked at him, and I was like, it kind of hurts to squeak. We didn't squeak out because, like I said, we were in control, but it kind of hurts to like see that be played against us. Like, that's not his game. I thought Zoom Diallo was really good, but Washington's sets were bad. They didn't have sets for Haynes Steinbach, their big center, who's going to go to the NBA. It felt like he was supposed to just like find the ball as a result of a bunch of guys doing dribble handoffs on the perimeter. And they also, their subs were weird. It felt like a guy would get a bucket and then he'd get subbed out immediately. They were subbing every 2 minutes. And I kind of mentioned to my friend, I was like, it's hard to find rhythm when you're constantly being subbed in and out. And so that's kind of where I'm at, is that I don't think this Washington win is that great. We want it. It goes on a win the same way beating Kansas away would go on our record, and it counts. But for what it says about us as a team, I'm not. I just don't think they're that good. I don't think Washington might be like an 8 or a 9 seed, but I don't even think they will be because the Big Ten's a deep basketball conference, and so I don't think that's going to be looked back on as a win that was like really, really good. But we're 2-0. We started 0-1 last year and started really bad against a Gonzaga team that didn't even end up being all that great. And so when I look ahead to our schedule, we've got Tarleton State coming to town. That's going to be a really interesting game. They've got a kid, Dior Johnson, that was a very big recruit out of high school. Maybe hasn't performed up to the standards that we thought. He was at UCF, I believe, and that he was kind of a bench player, kind of a confusing situation with him, but we'll see how that goes. I would give you my bet for that game, but the spread is not out. We probably won't see the spread until Friday morning, if I'm being honest. I know D'Antoine Grimes, ex-Baylor Bear, was on Tarleton State last year. He doesn't appear in the stats for this year, but I do think he had a non-basketball injury in the offseason. But if he's on the bench, I think that'll be a really cool return to Waco for him. I know he always really liked being here. He just wasn't given the opportunity to play. And so, yeah, that's something to see. And then we go straight into the Players Festival tournament in Las Vegas, and we're going to learn a whole lot about our team in the first 2 games. We play a team in Creighton on the first day, Monday, November 24th, that is interesting. They almost beat BYU, but it was a similar game to the Washington game. BYU was in control. But Creighton did hit a lot of shots. And so I think that our Washington game, we won in part because they couldn't hit shots. Creighton's going to hit shots. They've got a couple of shooters that are really, really good. And so that game is going to tell us a lot about if we are a really good team or not. Like if we are going to finish the year top 25, top 5 or 6 in the Big 12, we beat Creighton. That's how I see it. Obviously, there's a world where we lose to Creighton and we win out and win the championship. Technically, that's possible, but I think that Creighton game is like on the borderline of like, are we kind of pedestrian like we have been the last couple of years, or are we a really, really good team that is going to have, a second weekend type of team? And then we play St. John's. I'm a big fan of St. John's. I really like Patino as a coach. I think he has his guys competing, and I really worry about Zuby Ejiofor. I don't think Caden Powell can keep up with him, and I don't think anyone else is big enough to keep up with him. So Zuby Ejiofor is going to have a day, I think, against us. That doesn't mean we can't win, because St. John's, they're having some gelling issues. I understand Ian Jackson maybe isn't an awesome fit there. Dylan Mitchell, I'm just not a big fan of in general. I'm a part-time Texas Longhorns fan, and he started at Texas, and I watched people sag off from him in the mid-range for 2 years, and that was awful. And he went to not Creighton, sorry. He went to Cincinnati. The jump shot didn't get any better, and so I guess he's a we'll see guy, but he's starting, and so that makes me feel a little better about our chances. But they've got other good guys. Osiah Sellers is good. Joseph Sannon's good. Bryce Hopkins is good. They've got a lot of really good players on their team. But, I mean, if we beat Creighton and lose to St. John's, that's a good split in the pool play. And then I don't really know how the players' tournament works, but I understand we'll then be seeded and play someone else. There's so many good teams there. And so there's a chance that third game is also going to be against a ranked team. And all I'll say is we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot about them. And so, yeah, I'm not going to go any further on the schedule today because I'm going to give myself the chance to talk about some of that stuff in future episodes, of course. But, yeah, all right, I just paused the video, started a new video just to check how things are going. This is my first time ever doing this, and I thought, let's just make sure I actually started the video. And so I did. So, yeah, let's keep this going. I watched back some of it. I wanted to add, I only said good things about Dan Skilling, and I usually only think good things about Dan Skilling's. But I will say some of the three-point shots that he has taken have been really bad. I obviously didn't watch every Cincinnati game last year. I kept up with them a lot because they're a above-average Big 12 team, but I didn't understand him as a 3 to 5 3-point shots a game kid. I feel like he's an inside guy, a do-it-all, scrappy guy, and he is, but there were a couple of shots he took in the Washington game that I was like that's bad. So we'll see. I hope that, and again, the coaches are watching too, and there's no way that a couple of those deep contested threes where the coaches were yeah, we were looking for that shot. They know this as well. I trust our coaching staff so much, and so we'll see on Dan. We'll see, but I am overall optimistic about the team. Just to preview the Big 12. The Big 12 is so good this year. It's so good this year. I mean, you've got Houston, who probably should have won the championship game last year, and they return just about everyone. Milos Uzan, that kid can play, man. He can play. Tugler is a great big. They got a couple of really good freshmen coming in. Chris Senack is a good center that I'm sure will torment us for years because Houston's going to convince him to stay. You've got Texas Tech. Man, JT Toppin, that guy's an animal. That's a guy we missed out on. I believe last year we chose Norchad Omier over him. I think he would have been a Bear if we would have chosen for him to be a Bear. And it wasn't a massive miss. Norchad Omier was awesome. I enjoyed Norchad, but JT Toppin is a man. And Christian Anderson had a great freshman year and looks to be stepping it up a lot this year. BYU, obviously really good. I was a big BYU fan until they stole Rob Wright. I know that's how it works, but now I'm going to cheer against them. That's just how it works. But I really like Richie Saunders. That kid, he plays the game right. Kei Bakeda is awesome. Rob Wright, as much as I will hate on Rob Wright for what he did, I can't hate on him much as a player. I think he's electric. Devance is good. Kansas is a good team. They're not as good, but they've got Darren Peterson. That kid can will a team. He is good. I saw someone say that Darren Peterson will have a Carmelo Anthony type run, and I know that's glazed, but I can see it. Arizona looks good. Tommy Lloyd is always going to run a good, well-coached basketball team, and that is looking to be no different this year. Koa Pete looks like an absolute hit. Iowa State's always going to be annoying. Taman Lipsey coming into his 10th year at Iowa State. Momcilovic is always going to shoot bad against everyone except us. Yeah, yeah. The Big 12 looks good. Oklahoma State just beat the brakes off of A&M. I don't know if anyone saw that. TCU looks bad, thankfully. Cincinnati's going to be good. They're well coached. I think they have a good freshman. I can't remember his name. And they returned most of their team. And they got a kid named Jalen Celestine, who is an outstanding individual and a great basketball player. Kansas State, PJ Haggerty, that guy's going to score 30 points a game. Not actually. But the Big 12 is good. Make no mistake. This is as good as the Big 12 has been. I mean, it's good every year, and I guess it's good every year, and this year is no different, is what I have to say about the Big 12. But yeah, that's my take on basketball this year. So yeah, let's head into football. So I want to say where I'm at with the football program and with Dave Aranda. I'm ready for him to be fired. I am ready for it, and I've been ready for it. If we look at Dave Aranda's tenure at Baylor, his first year, COVID season, we went 2-7, whatever. It's fine. We were better than that. His second year, 12-2, Sugar Bowl. Wow. We hit on Dave Aranda. That's where I was at. We absolutely hit on him. I was quite excited to be headed to Baylor after we had won the Sugar Bowl. I was sure that we would have another good season that we have not had in these last 4 years. And I do attribute a lot of that Sugar Bowl success to the fact that it was Matt Rule's kids. Sorry, like Matt Rule's kids that he recruited. And so I don't know. I don't know if how it's hard to just take that away from Dave, because he did do that. But man, that was Matt Rule's team. It really was. And so the next year we go 6-7 and lose ugly in the Armed Forces Bowl to Air Force. That's bad. It was really bad. It was a really bad way to follow it up. And then it went from bad to worse. In 2023, we went 3-9. And that's when questions started to be raised about Dave Aranda as a coach. Baylor's got a lot of history behind it as a program. And so yeah, that's when I even started questioning. And I know it's you were 2 years removed from going 12-2 and winning the Sugar Bowl, but I started questioning. And I don't obviously know what happens between Aranda and Mack Rhoades. I don't have a camera in the office that they talk. I wish I did. I would tell all of you everything that they talk about. But I understand that Dave Aranda basically said we are not competing money-wise enough, and we need more money. And so we come out with we got the T-shirts. Keenan Hall's wearing a T-shirt that says "We pay players," and it's awesome. And we did. We went out and we made a couple of purchases in the portal. A couple purchases that hit. Michael Trigg, that was a hit. And we start the season just poor. We start the season poor, and I think at that point we were really, really calling for Dave Aranda's job. I believe we were 2-5. No, we were 2-4 or something like that. But the losses, they didn't look good. And then we routed the rest of the season. We turned it around. We won football games, but and again, I don't want to take away something that Aranda has done, but when you look back at those football games, they weren't against good teams. The Texas Tech win we thought was good at the time, they ended up being a not good football team. Oklahoma State wasn't a good football team. Kansas wasn't a good football team. And I think we saw it in the Texas Bowl against LSU. That was an LSU team that was without a lot of key players, and they controlled us. They controlled us the entire game. And it's oh, yeah, they're good. They're good heading into this year. No, they're not. They're not good this year. And so the games back-to-back of being controlled by LSU and being controlled by Auburn just show that, there is a coaching deficiency, because we've loaded up and paid a lot of money the last 2 years. Dave Aranda said he needed more money after we went 3-9, and we gave it to him. And since then, it's still been not great. And I think that Aranda saved his job by winning those 6 games in a row last year, and I wish he hadn't. And so that's why, this year, we're going into a big week against Utah, and it looks like Aranda might do it again. Because, and I know saying if we beat Utah is a big if, but, we have the players to beat Utah. We have the players to beat a lot of teams, including teams like Auburn, who we lost to, and it wasn't really, it was technically close, but it wasn't really. They look awful right now. So I just like I don't know, like do I want us to win this weekend? I don't know. And that's a really tough thing to shoulder as a fan and current student. Like, this is my last year at Baylor. I should just cheer for us to win all of the games. But the deal is, I'm going to be just as big of a fan of Baylor next year. My fanship is not tied to me being a student here. And so if I am going to be the best fan of Baylor, my favorite team, what do I want to happen? Well, I want our coach to be fired. And if we get in a situation where we beat Utah this week, at Arizona next week doesn't really look that hard. Like, obviously you got to go out and do it, but like, if we beat Utah, that means we can definitely beat Arizona. And then Houston at home, when we finally got the crowd back into it, probably Houston looked awful. I mean, Houston got beat by a UCF team that we made look like a dang high school team. And so I'm worried that Aranda can do it again and go on this later year winning streak and say, oh, yep, just need more money again next year. And we just fall into mediocrity. And so I don't know. And I know it's a little bit pessimistic to cheer for a loss, but like, I guess I'm just worried about what happens with a win. And so from what I understand, like, Aranda was given the record of 9-3 and said, you have to get to here or else you're fired. And so, like, obviously we can't get to that record, but like, if we end the year 8-4 and we have another back half of the season comeback, it's going to look weird if we fire him. Like, there's going to be people confused. Like, wait, Baylor turned it around. They've got momentum heading into next year. And so, yeah, I guess I'm going to cheer for my team to win. I'm not a big Utah fan in general, so I'll cheer for Baylor to beat them. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to understand, like, a win is a little worrisome. It's a big week. It's a big week for Baylor football. Dave Aranda had a press conference yesterday. He said, we as a program need this game. And that sounds classic. Like, yeah, we as a program need this game. You need this game. You need to win this game. This is the best he has looked. That is a quote from Dave Aranda on running back Bryson Washington. Bryson Washington, our running back, has not looked good in really any stretch this season. He looked really good last year, but he is now looking to have fallen into the curse that Baylor has when a freshman running back breaks out. They have an awful year immediately after. And yeah, they bragged all offseason about Bryson Washington putting on this weight, and so now he just looks slow. It doesn't look good. I'm not a fan of what has been going on with Bryson Washington, but Dave Aranda says this is the best he's looked. So if we can get Bryson Washington from last year, that's going to be really exciting. Last quote I'm going to bring up from his conference. Dave Aranda compared Michael Trigg to current Atlanta Falcon tight end Kyle Pitts. That makes me laugh. For those of you who are not big NFL fans, Kyle Pitts is a tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, and he's a similar build to Michael Trigg. He came from Florida, and he was a very highly selected tight end. It's this new hybrid tight end where it's like he's kind of a receiver, but he's big and tall and fast, and he's got really good high-point catchability. But Kyle Pitts has had a really bad NFL career in his first, I think this is his fourth or fifth year. It hasn't gone well. And I got a text from one of my friends today. We were talking about if Michael Trigg was going to be a first rounder this year, which is crazy. And he said if Kyle Pitts had worked out, then Michael Trigg would have been a first rounder. And I actually tend to agree. And that's really funny because I just think Michael Trigg is way better than Kyle Pitts. I mean, Michael Trigg is doing it. Obviously, Baylor's offense is good, but like Michael Trigg doesn't have Kyle Trask throwing him the ball. That guy could really sling the rock. And so, yeah, I think that Michael Trigg is better. I think Michael Trigg could be a first-round pick. I think there are better tight ends than him. But I'm really excited to see what Trigg does in the NFL. I play fantasy football, and I'm having an awful year this year. And so I am having a really fun time thinking about what I'm going to do next year. And next year, I hope to draft Michael Trigg. I think he's going to be a day one NFL stud. And so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about the rest of the football team for a little bit. Sawyer Robertson has been really good. In stretches, he tends to float the ball a lot, which I am not a big fan of. And also, he has shown it's not an inability, just like he hasn't wanted to run the football at all this season. And last year, he was a big running quarterback, and that was like the counter in our offense was like we have speed on all the edges, and our quarterback has a great arm. But then as soon as you like cover the speed, cover his arm, he's gonna run. I've got a play ingrained in my memory of him busting a 50-yard run against Oklahoma State to like ice the game, and we haven't seen anything like that this year. And from what I understand, like I think he's trying to save his body for the NFL, which like I get, and I'm never going to be one to go after Sawyer as a person or like his values or like him saving himself for the NFL and not giving his all to Baylor, because I think he's an awesome person and I think he loves Baylor. But like, we paid you to play football at Baylor, and so I want him to run the ball more. And against a team like Utah that's going to dominate us at the line of scrimmage, they're going to be in the backfield a lot. Their linebackers are going to get to Sawyer, and if again, like I know I talked about how I'm not sure if I want us to win, and now I'm talking about like this is what we need to do to win. But yes, I'm going to be cheering for us. And if we win that game, I think it is on the heels of Sawyer having a couple of runs where the linebacker gets off and he has to step up in the pocket and take it 20 yards. I really hope that we see a couple of those runs, because I think that's how we beat a team like Utah that is going to dominate us at the line of scrimmage, is that our runners just do a good job. He needs to do a good job. Bryson needs to find the right holes, something that he's not done well this year. And so we'll see. Let's see. That spread is set at Utah minus 8.5. It opened at Utah minus 8.5. America liked Utah. It went to, actually, no, it opened at 7.5. I was wrong. America liked Utah. It was down to 9.5 last night, and it is back to 8.5 today. I really like Baylor covering. I think that we're gonna fight. I think Aranda's coaching for his job. I think that we've got a lot of guys still trying to get NFL looks. Baylor's defense is historically really good after buys under Dave Aranda. It wasn't against TCU, but like again, that was, before we decided to turn things around. And I also think we're going to do better against Devon Dampier than I maybe would have originally thought. Devon Dampier is Utah's quarterback, and he can run the football. He is very fast. But I know our defense has been really susceptible to running quarterbacks, or not to running quarterbacks, but it's been susceptible to quarterbacks when they choose to run. Like, we haven't played a running quarterback really yet, other than like Arizona State. Like, I guess Sam Levitt is kind of a running quarterback, but like when we played Auburn, I definitely wouldn't have called Jackson Arnold a running quarterback. And I mean, he looked like Lamar Jackson. Like, it was unbelievable. When we played Cincinnati, Brennan Sorsby is a good runner, but he's kind of like, that's kind of his counter. And so it feels like we've gotten beat by quarterbacks who are pass-first quarterbacks when they run. And so Devon Dampier is a run-first quarterback. He wants to run. And so I think that, like, we will do better against Dampier. And I say better. Like, he might have a lot of rushing yards against us, but that's a big part of Utah's offense. Like, if we hold him to 40 rushing yards, that seems like a lot for a quarterback, but that's a really big deal for our defense. And so the fact that we know that he's a running quarterback, and the fact that that is a part of the game plan, I do think does help us a little bit. I'm going to be interested to see who's spying him. I think having a spy on him is necessary. Like, keep him in the pocket, contain your edges, spy him, make him throw the ball down the field, and test. Don't really let him test our cornerbacks, but make him throw the ball down the field. But I'm interested in who's going to spy, because like when I think about our best guys, I don't want them spying him, but we need a good guy spying him. So it kind of does suck to like toss away a good defender, but like that is a very, very necessary part of the game to me. So yeah, we're going to see. I'm going to be at that game Saturday night, 6 p.m. On Fox, and it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be cold. I actually don't know that it's going to be cold, but it's been cold every night recently. But it's going to be a true night game because it gets dark at 4:30 p.m. at this point, it feels like. But yeah, I'm really interested to see it. I'm going to be watching, cheering for Baylor, but in the back of my mind, I'm going to remember that a loss could mean a long-term victory for Baylor in the future. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for football. Let's see, what else can I talk about for a little bit longer. Baylor women's basketball has started back up. Shout out to Nikki Collins. They had a big win over Duke in Paris, I think it was, 58-52. Great win. I understand that we had a very good portal class this year, and so I'll be excited to see. I'll get out to a game soon. And then we beat Lindenwood a couple days ago at the Foster, and so yeah, I'm really excited to see what the women's basketball team is doing this year. And so yeah, I think that might just about wrap it up. This was my first take on my first podcast ever, so give me some time, guys. It's going to be really good. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about what this could become. And yeah, share this, please. Share this with your friends, anyone who loves Baylor. I will say, I guess, like and subscribe. That feels a little weird, but I'm going to say that. And post any questions in the comments. I'm really open to taking this project in a lot of different directions. And so maybe there's a segment where I answer some questions from the comment section. And so, yeah, if that will do it. I don't know when you guys are seeing this, whether it is today, November 11th. Hopefully I get it to you, get it out by, in the next couple of days, or maybe even today. We'll see what my focus level on it is. Have a very blessed rest of your day, and Sick 'em Bears.